So big engines are pushing these propellers. But otherwise, a lot of people are interested to hear we also use hydraulics as well. So the engine room, like down on the lower deck, it's like right where this area is. So it's hydraulics all the way back.
I don't know. It probably works.
Well, I used to have a nice swim.
It's 9 feet of water. And that's because tows with their barges, they're really large cargo containers that are large vessels. When they are full of cargo, they sit about 9 feet into the water. So we have to have at least 9 foot depth here. And so if you are in between these buoys, you know you have at least 9 feet of water. Of course, if you go on either side of them, the water will get more shallow. But you may wonder, why are there red ones and why are there green ones? Now that kind of helps us with directions. So on wider parts of the Mississippi where it's easier to get turned around, they have the red ones. Well, here, I'll explain that like this. So when you are returning from sea, or in our case, returning from the Gulf of Mexico, or heading north, which we're heading north right now, the red will be on your right. And there's a neat little saying to help with that. Red, right, returning. So the red will be on your right when you're returning from sea. So it kind of helps with people to, of course today we have technology to help with that, but you know, good old days you want to use the buoys. Now, how good are you guys with your nautical terminology? Think I could quiz you? See if you know your stuff? Well, I'm going to quiz you anyways. Alright, so what do we call the front of the boat? Yeah, the bow. Good job. Now, the next one you might be able to get because I give you a hint. What's the back of the boat called? Yeah, good job. The stern. Remember I said a split stern wheeler. Paddles are at the back of the boat, the stern of the boat. Alright, the next question. What do we call the right side of the boat? I feel like I heard someone say it. Starboard side is the right side. What about the left side of the boat? What's that called? So the right side is starboard, but yet the left is port side. Now the reason we have those names is because back in the day, large vessels, they didn't have rudders, but instead they would have steerboards or oars sticking out the right side of the boat. So it's starboard. But since they had all those steerboards sticking out the right side, they couldn't go into port on that side. So we'd always have to go into port on the left side. So that's how they got their names. And I'm going to try to use those terms from here and out because sometimes they get mixed up because your right is my left and your left is my right. So from now on, I'm going to try to use starboard and port. Now the first time I'm going to use this is I'm going to have all you guys look to your port side. Alright, good job. Yep, left side, port side. Notice that gorgeous house right there on our left side. That's known as the Gunderson home. Anyone familiar with the Gunderson Clinic here in town? Yeah, some of your moms or dads may work there. So the Gunderson Hospital here in town is very popular, but the man who founded that hospital, Dr. Adolf Gunderson, he had this home built for him and his family back in 1918. And kind of a neat fact is that Gunderson family has maintained this house in their family till today. So almost 100 years later, they still have this house. I believe it's Dr. Adolf Gunderson's great-great-great-grandson. I think there's 3 greats, I believe. But him and his family own it still today. So it's pretty neat. They're really big on their heritage. In fact, you may be surprised to hear this, but the house is actually a log cabin. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but that's because it's not only kind of styled after a Norwegian-styled house, but it's also, the logs are sitting vertical rather than a typical horizontal way. So they styled this house kind of looking Norwegian, but then another way they have maintained their heritage is that way back in the day, Mrs. Helga Gunderson, she would make her whole family, including the children, sit around the dinner table and they could only speak in Norwegian. And if they didn't, then they didn't get dinner that night. So you really had to know your stuff if you're part of the Gunderson family. I for sure would never get dinner. No. I am Norwegian, but I don't know how to speak it. But that's kind of a neat spot. They actually own that whole island there, and it is one of the very few privately owned islands. There's just a small creek separating it from Barron's Island. But then kind of shifting over to our starboard side, or our right side, these are all islands here. They're government managed though, no one owns them, other than Uncle Sam. But anyways, so these are part of what's called the Upper Mississippi Wildlife Refuge. So they're really trying to maintain these islands here along with the wildlife that lives on them. But they do allow people to go beaching on all these beaches here. So you can see there's a tent there, and then there's a boathouse back on the other island there. And this is totally free to do. This is a really popular thing to do. I'm sure later on today or even this weekend, especially Labor Day weekend, all these beaches will be completely full. I know for the 4th of July, you couldn't even find an open beach. They're completely full of campers, which is pretty neat that people get to take advantage of these beaches here. The west channel of the Mississippi. So it is the current boundary between Minnesota and Wisconsin. So all these houses here you see on the left side, that's Minnesota right there. Is anyone from Minnesota? Oh yeah, you guys are from LaCrosse, aren't you? LaCrosse or Hoka? Okay, do you know where Houston is? I'm from Houston. Not Texas, Houston, Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota. But anyway, so that is the gorgeous state, home to the best football team right there. Yes, you are supposed to laugh at that. Even though it's not a joke because it's true. No, a lot of times I get booed, so I'm like really nervous that someone's going to throw me off the boat one of these times.
They're just like, we're from Chicago, that could happen.
I put a life jacket on now.
The bridge is turning way up there.
So actually, so all the kids from LaCrosse and Hoka, you might be kind of interested in this. See all these houses here? So that area is called Shore Acres, but just past these houses here is LaCrosse. So we're kind of going, you can't see LaCrosse, but we're going right past it. So that's probably some of your guys' hometown right there. Now, how many of you kids from LaCrosse go to Apple Fest every year?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, I bet a bunch of you do. So kind of a neat thing about LaCrosse, Minnesota, every year they have their town festival called Apple Fest, because they're really big on apples. In fact, they're the apple capital of the state. But anyway, so I believe it's September 14th through the 17th this year, I think. But anyways, they have their Apple Fest, and it's really neat. So if you're in the area, definitely check that out.
They opened this big
They
bridge
have a
up
really
so we
great
can get
parade
through it here.
and dances and live bands and the flea market,
Really can't
vendors, all that
see
good
it too
stuff.
good from here, but you can see where it
All right, so this little girl's had her hand up for probably 10 minutes. So
They
she
turned
probably
that section
let her rest her arm. What's your question?
Why was what?
Why are we not wearing life jackets? Because, I mean, let me double check with the captain, but I'm pretty sure we're not planning on sinking today. So, no, we won't need life jackets at all today. We won't have any trouble going on the Mississippi. So we just have them just in case there is an emergency, but we've never ever had to use them before. Has swung open, and that's because the clearance below this bridge, or the space that we have between the bridge and the water, is only 21 feet. So we clearly don't fit underneath the bridge, so instead it has to swing open for us. And actually, kind of a neat thing about this bridge, it's actually 1.5 miles long, so it goes across this portion of the Mississippi, over these islands, and it also goes over the Black River as well. It actually has 2 moving parts. So of course this swing part here, it also has a drawbridge that opens up like this, and that goes over the Black River. Now this bridge is very, very old. It was built back in 1876. So it's 141 years old, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's older than anyone on the boat. Pretty sure. Oh, miles. So we're currently about 700.2 miles away from Cairo, and Cairo is 1,400 miles away from the Gulf of Mexico. So if you add our 700 plus their 1,400, we're currently about 2,100 miles away from the Gulf of Mexico. If you look to your right, you can see a train waiting for us to go through. They'll probably head across the bridge as soon as the bridge closes. So it's kind of nice. The bridge tender, he must like us today. Now, since we just passed through that railroad bridge, I have a story for you about a different bridge. It's actually about the very first bridge that was built across the Mississippi. It was built back in 1856, so 20 years before this one here, in Rock Island, Illinois. Now, since this was the first bridge that was built across the Mississippi, people thought it was going to be a huge deal. It was the first time the East was connected to the westward frontier. So they thought that westward expansion was just going to flourish once this bridge got built. Well, actually, so they completed the bridge, they got it built, and just 1 month after it's completed, it actually burnt completely down, which is kind of a bummer. But anyways, what happened there was a side wheeler owned by Captain John Hurd. He was going through that bridge there, well, not this one, but the one in Rock Island. He was going through the bridge, and when apparently a strong current took control over his boat, and he actually ran his boat into the bridge. Now, a wood stove inside of the boat tipped over, which made the boat catch on fire, which of course made the bridge catch completely on fire. So everything burnt down, and Captain John Hurd, he was pretty upset that this bridge was in his way. So he got 3 lawyers and tried to sue the railroad company for $50,000. So of course the Rock Island Railroad Company, they're like, well, we gotta get a lawyer too. So they got kind of an unknown lawyer. And but that lawyer made a pretty strong debate. He said that without that railroad bridge there, westward expansion would never be able to happen. So of course that's a strong debate. So he ended up winning the entire case there. And then he later became our 16th president. It was Abraham Lincoln who defended the Rock Island Railroad Company. And so like, wow, woohoo, great. But even more exciting than that is that the...
Hi friends, I'm sorry my video ended so abruptly there. My battery went dead. So I was going for another 15 minutes talking to myself after that. Well, thank you very much for watching my video.